Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's Healing Circle Talks with Dr. Khurshid Mistry. We will begin with introduction of Dr. Khurshid Mistry and starting with Healing Circle guidelines. Dr. Khurshid Mistry is an experienced doctor having done masters in cytogenetics from Tata Memorial Hospital and doctorate in molecular biology. She is a trustee of NK Dabur Cancer Foundation and has been instrumental in running of OnCare, a cancer wellness and palliative care center. She is an active participant in several cancer-related NGOs and was an active member of Indian Cooperative Oncology Network. Dr. Mistry joins our Healing Circle today to share her insights on the various aspects of cancer. So thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Dimple Parmar, co-founder and CEO of Love Cancer and Zen-Onco.io, which is India's first integrative oncology cancer treatment space. Welcome again, Dr. Mistry, and I would request you to please introduce yourself, and also after that would like to hear from you about your journey with cancer patients. Very insightful session because most of us are connected to cancer here, and also this session is especially focused on palliative care and wellness for cancer patients. Welcome again.
Thank you. So thank you very much, Dimple. Today it's a pleasure to be a part of the Healing Circle and talk about this very important but often neglected topic of palliative care. Palliative care is a very misunderstood topic. Everybody seems to feel that palliative care is only for end of life, or it's only when no other treatment is possible. But I'm going to clear some of those myths today, because we honestly believe that palliative care should start from the time of diagnosis. It helps, like you're saying, integrating, like exactly what you said. It is integrating different aspects of healing for a patient, because we don't treat just the disease, we treat the patient and their families together. And so keeping that in mind, we have different ways of a holistic approach to it, which we will be discussing further. And it's a pleasure to join the group.
Thank you. And हम लोग सेशन को हिंदी और इंग्लिश दोनों में रखेंगे so that सब लोग अच्छे से समझ सकते हैं. So yes, Dr. Mistry rightly said that palliative care is a misunderstood term. लोग इसको एंड ऑफ लाइफ से रिलेट करते हैं, जबकि पैलेटिव इज नथिंग बट इम्प्रूविंग क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ. और क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ तो कैंसर हो चाहे नहीं हो, फर्स्ट स्टेज हो लास्ट स्टेज हो, हमेशा चाहिए होती है. सो अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग टू नोट हियर. आई एम ग्लैड दैट OnCare is working in this direction to help cancer patients. So can you please introduce about OnCare and what all things you are doing, concept of OnCare?
So, yes. So, are we starting the session? So, should I start with the
session? The session has already been started, right?
Okay. So, basically, I have, as I said, mentioned right from my student days, been involved in working with cancer patients. Well, working professionally with cancer patients is one thing, and having to deal with it at a personal level at home is another. Unfortunately, that time did come about 7 years back, when my father, who was at the age of 80, was diagnosed with cancer. And that's the time I really realized what the patients require. As a professional and as a part of Tata Memorial and as a part of many other organizations, we used to only treat the disease. It's only when it came back home at your doorstep did we realize that no, this is what we were doing all along is not really enough. Because at home we realize the patient requires much more. The mental aspect is completely ignored by most like cancer organizations or hospitals and oncologists. So this is where we felt that there was a lacunae. Like when I was dealing with my father and his illness, I really felt the dirt, the lack of a place where we could go for just pure healing, where he could be kept calm. Because a very important thing which I observed was that while he was busy, while he was occupied, while he was surrounded with friends and family, he was absolutely okay. He almost at times forgot that he was going through a problem. It was only the times when he was alone where his anxiety levels used to increase, where he did not know how to handle the problems. So these are all the little things which led me to thinking that, look, I was part of a lot of research and, basic, academic sciences. And I realized that, well, of course, that while that is extremely important, another facet of healing and of treating a person is absolutely missing within our country. So when I started traveling and I started reading more and more about it, I learned about palliative care. To be very, very honest, while initially I also was going through the same misconceptions. At Tata Memorial, we did have a department for palliative care, which normally as an oncologist, we used to refer to them only when we had no more to offer. Mm-hmm. Today, I realize how wrong we were in doing that, So it's, again, as I said, from a personal problem and understanding the lack of the existing facilities, which prompted me to think about a center like OnCare. I found the right partners with the N.K. Dabar Cancer Foundation, where palliative care was a very important and integral part of their mission statement, and they wanted to incorporate it. And when I approached them with this idea, they kind of immediately welcomed me in. So I found the perfect platform, the perfect partners to work with. And like everybody says, when you're on the right path, destiny makes it happen. Right. So things happened. We found the place at Masina Hospital, which is a beautiful surrounding, beautiful place. I will share some slides which will actually show you how beautiful the place is. Yeah. And so I think I would like to start with my presentation, if that is possible. Yeah, and so can I share my screen?
Yeah, I'm making you co-host, and now you can share.
Okay, so I'll start with my little presentation. I'll just we'll walk through some of the slides and some of the concepts of palliative care. Okay. And then I will talk about OnCare, which is what we do and how we heal people. And of course, at the end, we would love to have a discussion. So just let me start.
Yeah. And आप में से हमें अगर कुछ भी question है तो आप chat में.
No, okay. I'll try and speak in Hindi also. I'll in between move back to Hindi.
Yeah. And if there's any question, we can write in the chat box, or you can ask me to unmute you and we'll take the questions. Thank you.
Please feel free to ask questions at any stage. So we've gone through my introduction. So let's start with when you become a doctor, when you are a physician, what are you taught? When you are taking the Hippocratic Oath, you're always told that you can cure a person completely sometimes. You can more often than not treat a person, but the comfort part of it is always possible and always should be given. And that's a very important part of the Hippocratic Oath. Unfortunately, I think in our busy schedules, we sometimes forget this whole thing and we only concentrate on the disease and only trying to treat or cure the patient, but we forget about the comfort part. So coming down to just the basic definition of what palliative care is, which is defined by the WHO, and WHO का नाम तो अभी सभी ने सुना है COVID के time पे, it's the World Health Organization. So they define palliative care as an approach that improves the quality of life, not only of the patient, but also their families facing any life-limiting disorder. Cancer being one of them. So again, palliative care ऐसा नहीं कि सिर्फ cancer patients के लिए है. It is possible for any disease, there are so many neurological problems, there are many cardiac problems, which are life-limiting. So in any of these cases, palliative care is given. Another important part is that it relieves the suffering by means of impeccable assessment. So पहले तो assess करो, उसका problem निकालो, क्या problem है, and then treat it as a complete thing of not just a physical problem, but the psychological, social, and emotional and spiritual aspects of the problem. So coming back to the cancer and just the sheer numbers, we all know that cancer is a global threat nowadays and it's increasing at a rapid rate. And unfortunately, because Asia has the maximum burden of the population, maximum numbers of people, even the burden of cancer is the most in Asia. With such a thing, and especially within our country where finances are limited, how does one deal with it? Now, we've spoken about the quality of life. There is also a quality of death index. And unfortunately, in 2015 and there onwards, there have been surveys every year. And unfortunately, India comes really, really low in the quality of death index. So this is another thing where we realize that we really need to improve. Death is a very normal process, but it's not necessary that a person has to be in pain or person has to be in suffering while dying. So death can also be made into a peaceful, process, not just for the patient, but again for the family. Because it's very distressing for the family to see when their dear ones are breathing their last thing in pain and discomfort. So we are not, the idea of palliative care is not just to improve the quality of life, but also the quality of death. Another very important definition that we need to remember is what is health? We're talking about healing and health. So is it just merely an absence of a disease? No, it's not. So just the absence of a disease, यानी कि कोई बीमारी न होना, does not mean कि आप healthy हो. Healthy होने के लिए, it's a complete state of physical, mental and spiritual health which makes a person healthy. So किसी को कुछ physical बीमारी ना भी हो, लेकिन mental problems हो, emotional problems हो, spiritual problems हो, तो वो person healthy नहीं कहा जाता है. So coming to the listing of definition, and as I again said earlier on, palliative care was only introduced during the end of life. At the time of presentation of disease, it was the anti-disease therapy. In cancer, namely chemotherapy, radiation, surgery, which were introduced. And just 6 months prior to death, which is what we call the end of life period, palliative care used to come in. And then it was introduced as bereavement care after the patient was no more to support the family. The same. But this was a historical perspective. Since 2018, the whole perspective of palliative care has changed. Several international bodies like ASCO, ESMO, that's the American Society of Cancer, the European Society, they've all recognized that palliative care should be introduced early on in the trajectory of the disease. So जब diagnosis मिल जाती है, तब से शुरू करके obviously end of life में तो palliative care का importance है ही, and then later bereavement care भी आ ही जाता है. Now, when you are seeing a person like this is just an example of a patient, a cancer patient, his suffering is at multiple levels. Physical, of course, as we can always see, there is a massive distension of the abdomen. So he's obviously going through physical distress. Apart from that, he's going through mental stress. He's going through a social thing, like physically, the appearance is not good. People kind of shun them. So there are social problems. And then there are spiritual problems. And also financial problems, which also are part of the psychosocial problems. So when you see a person like this, he is suffering at multiple levels. So just giving him any anti-disease therapy is not going to help a person like this. Hence, now we have come to this thing of, issuing the different causes of suffering. Because suffering is not just at one level. When you're talking of disease management, of course, you talk of the diagnosis, the prognostication, the management. Then the physical problems, like when you see a massive distension, you can do a fluid, you can do a tap and remove the fluids and things like that. That's where you can help them physically. Psychologically, the patient is going through anxiety, depression, distress. There you need an intervention. Social dynamics, there are family dynamics, there's financial problems, there are sometimes legal problems within the society. Spiritual problems, something that we see most often. Why me? Bhagwan ne mujhe ye kyun diya? Mujhe ye kyun ho raha hai? मैंने तो कभी कुछ गलत नहीं किया था. So these are all the spiritual aspects and the spiritual problems which rise within the patients. The practical part of it, the caregiving, who is going to look after the patient? If the young son or daughter has to look after a patient like that, who will earn? Who will be the primary bread earner of the family? So these are the practical problems. And then, of course, as we've always mentioned, end of life is an important part. We want to make sure that the quality of death improves. and loss and grief and emotional and bereavement responses have also to be tackled. And this is all taken under the umbrella of palliative care. So, one second, I'm having a problem with the slides. Okay, so we've again this thing that it has to be a multidisciplinary care model. It should be introduced early into the trajectory of the illness. It has to be a holistic management. As I said, it's not only medicines which will help, but the non-pharmacological interventions also are very, very important. Keeping in mind of correct the correctable. जो सही हो सकता है, उनको सही करो. That's the whole idea of correct the correctable. Non-pharmacological measures, and this is what I will be talking a bit more, because pharmacological तो सबको पता है, दवाई दे दो पेन है, दवाई दे दो पेन कम होती है, लेकिन हमेशा वो सही नहीं है, because pain also is at multiple levels. Prophylactic prescriptions, जैसे कि कीमोथेरेपी ले रहे पेशेंट, तो पहले से हमको पता है उनकी साइड इफेक्ट्स क्या क्या होती है. नोजिया होते हैं, वॉमिटिंग, डायरिया होती है, कभी कभी फीवर हो जाती है. सो पहले से वो प्रीएम्प्ट करके पेशेंट को पहले से ये प्रिस्क्रिप्शन दिया जाए तो लास्ट मिनट में पेशेंट को एंजाइटी नहीं होगी. एंड वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इज कम्युनिकेशन एंड शेयर डिसीजन मेकिंग. वापस दिस इज वन थिंग वे वी आर लैकिंग. इंडिया में काफी बार सब डिसीजंस डॉक्टर्स पे छोड़ा जाता है, पेशेंट्स का इधर इतना ये नहीं सहयोग नहीं होता है जिधर पेशेंट की ओर से भी decision making आए. लेकिन I think this is a mindset which needs to be changed. And communication, it's very important for the doctor to inform the patient the right things and understand what the patient needs. So the communication is a very, very important part of it. Now, again, since we are talking about cancer, the most common physical symptoms first is pain. So pain ka definitely we can tackle pain at multiple levels, as we said, and uska problem ka hal nikal sakta hai. We definitely can correct pain. Tumor related problems such as bleeding, obstruction, GI obstructions like we just saw, ureteric blocks and things like that are very, very common. Fatigue, थकान महसूस होना, anorexia, खाने का मन ना होना, कमजोरी होना. These are all very, again, common physical symptoms. And काफी लोग को लगता है अभी कैंसर हुआ तो ये तो होना ही है, लेकिन ये सही नहीं है. फटीग है तो उसका भी हल निकल सकता है, उसका भी प्रॉब्लम का कैसे उसको करेक्ट कर सकते हैं वो हम मैनेज कर सकते हैं. ब्रेथलेसनेस, दम लेने में तकलीफ. अगेन ब्रेथलेसनेस, one is a pathological reason, the other are again mental or emotional reasons. When the person is very anxious, breathlessness also starts to the same. Nausea, vomiting, part of the disease and part of the treatment also. Constipation, difficulty in passing urine. These are all very, very common symptoms. Lack of sleeping, and या तो sleeping all the time, कभी कभी patient सोते ही रहता है. So these are all very commonly seen symptoms, but again symptoms which can be tackled. साइकोलॉजिकल डिस्ट्रेस में क्या क्या होता है. Why did this happen to me? मुझे क्यों हुआ? अभी मुझे आगे क्या होगा? What will happen to me? मेरे परिवार को कौन देखेगा? हॉस्पिटल में हूं तो मैं घर जा पाऊंगा या नहीं वापस? Very often what is really disturbing and distressing for the patients is कि मेरी end of life कैसी होगी, मेरा death कैसा होगा. Will I be in a lot of pain? Will my family members be with me when I die? क्योंकि कभी कभी ICU में हो जाते हैं patients, completely isolated हो जाते हैं, and family members patients के साथ नहीं रह पाते. That is again very distressing for the patient. Social issues, as we mentioned, family collusion. Again, ये एक problem है जो हमारे country में ज़्यादा ही होता है. जब patients के family members आके बोलेंगे patient को please मत बताना, उनको मत ये करना, तो ये भी बहुत important है family members को भी समझाना कि patient को जानना क्यों important है. Why should we hide anything from the patient? So ये patient, of course, family का respect करते हुए, उसका opinion ध्यान में रखते हुए उनको भी समझाया जा सकता है कि क्यों इम्पोर्टेंट है पेशेंट को जानने के लिए. मॉनेटरी फाइनेंशियल प्रॉब्लम्स तो हमारे कंट्री में सबसे मैक्सिमम है, क्योंकि इवन अ मिडिल क्लास फैमिली समटाइम्स कैन नॉट अफोर्ड द एंटी कैंसर थेरेपी दैट नाउअडेज व्हिच इज अवेलेबल. फैमिली के बाद, मेरे बजाने के बाद मेरा फैमिली का क्या होगा? इस कैंसर कंटेजियस? ये बहुत अगेन हमने देखा है कि काफी सारे स्पेशली यंग लेडीज में ये प्रॉब्लम होता है, जिधर फैमिली मेंबर्स बच्चे को ले लेते हैं, उसको उसके पास कोई नहीं जाता है कि ये तो उसको कैंसर हुआ तो अभी दूसरे को, बच्चे को भी हो जाएगा कैंसर, या हमको भी हो जाएगा, उसके प्लेट से खाने से हमको ये होगा. सो दीज आर मिथ्स व्हिच हैव टू बी ब्रोकन. एंड एंड ऑफ लाइफ, टर्मिनल केयर में मेरा क्या होगा? वेयर कैन आई गो? Spiritual distress, as I said, Bhagwan mein belief rakhna. Again, this is another big problem in our country because we have multiple religions and multiple this thing. So it is difficult to deal with this. But yet, at keeping all the religions aside and talking about it in a very general way, we do address spirituality. We do talk about a superior being, and we do talk about this whole question of what dying is, why does one die, what happens, and things like that. So again, coming back to the goals of palliative care, it provides relief from pain and any other distressing problems. It affirms life and regards dying as a normal process. So again, as we just said, fear of dying. So ये एक चीज हम सबको बताते हैं कि जब हम birth लेते हैं, जब when we are born, the only one thing in life which is sure of is कि कभी ना कभी तो जाना है किस सबको. अभी कभी जाए, कौन से टाइम पे जाए, कैसे जाए, वो अलग अलग होता है. लेकिन डाइंग इज अ वेरी वेरी नॉर्मल प्रोसेस. सो उसको एक टैबू बना के मत रखो, उसके लिए बारे में बात करो, ओपनली बात करो. एंड इट काइंड ऑफ अफर्म्स दैट डाइंग इज नॉट like something abnormal. It's a normal process. सो कभी ऑल्सो पैलिएटिव केयर का एक दूसरा मिथ है कि इट हेस्टन्स लाइफ, या क्योंकि हम मॉर्फिन देते हैं पेन मैनेजमेंट के लिए, तो सबको लगता है कि मॉर्फिन देने से डेथ जल्दी आ जाती है. सो ये भी एक गलत है ना. नीदर डज इट हेस्टन नॉर डज इट पोस्टपोन डेथ. इट जस्ट improves the quality of life and quality of death. Integrating the psychological and spiritual aspects of patients' care, offer a support system to help patients live as actively as possible until death. So again, that becomes a part of quality of life कि आप life support पे pipes से जुड़े हुए और machine के इससे तो लाइफ एक्सपेक्टेंसी इंक्रीज कर सकते हैं, लेकिन वो इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं है. पेशेंट की क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ, वो कितने एक्टिव है, कितने नॉर्मल रूटीन उनका फॉलो कर सकते हैं, दैट इज इम्पोर्टेंट. And it offers a support system to help the family. So as we've again said, it does not take care only of the patient, but also of the entire family, which is very, very important. It uses a team approach. So ये सब इतनी सारी चीजें हैं, वो एक डॉक्टर या एक नर्स या एक कोई भी इंडिविजुअल एड्रेस नहीं कर सकते हैं. इसके लिए this has to be a team effort. And definitely, as we've also kept continuously said, it will enhance quality of life and may also. So कभी बहुत टाइम पूछा जाता है हमको कि palliative कैसे life expectancy increase होती है क्या? तो हमारा जवाब यही है कि हमने definitely देखा है कि increase होती है, and that is because of the positivity of the patient. पहले पेशेंट आते हैं तो इतने नेगेटिव माइंड फ्रेम में आते हैं कि अभी कुछ नहीं हो सकता है, अभी तो हमको मरना ही है. लेकिन धीरे धीरे जब हमारे साथ काम करके, हमारे ग्रुप में इन्वॉल्व होके, जब वो पॉजिटिविटी आ जाती है कि नहीं अभी तो हमको लड़ना है, अभी तो हमको ये डिजीज के साथ सामना करना है, तब ऑब्वियसली द आउटकम ऑल्सो बिकम्स बेटर. So again, the three essentials of care, which we've spoken again and again. So it's symptom relief, it's psychological support. It has to be done with hope and honesty. So hope देना बहुत important है, लेकिन at the same time honest रहना भी जरूरी है. False hope देके patient को खाली खाली बताते रहो कि नहीं नहीं सब कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा, जब हमको पता है कि अभी ज्यादा hope नहीं है, तब honesty भी बहुत important है. और ये सब communication के दौरान ही हो सकती है. So I think we've spoken about this. We've corrected the correctables. We have to balance the benefit versus the toxicity. So जब भी हमको लगता है कि जब इलाज या जो मेडिकेशन हम दे रहे हैं वो पेशेंट को बेनिफिट होने से उसको ज्यादा तकलीफ दे रहे हैं, तब हम वो बंद करते हैं, देते हैं, या तो उसको उसका ऑल्टरनेट ढूंढते हैं. So again, coming back to even a simple symptom like pain, there was a lady who was named Dame Cicely Saunders, who has worked very, very actively in palliative care in the UK. And she came about with this very, very good concept that pain is not only physical. Pain is also an attribute of the psychological, the spiritual, and the social. कितनी बार हम देखते हैं कि फिजिकली सब एग्जामिन करो, सब कुछ ठीक है, बट फिर भी पेशेंट बोलते हैं नहीं हमको बहुत दर्द है, और पेशेंट झूठ नहीं बोल रहे हैं, पेशेंट को दर्द है, लेकिन उनकी दर्द की वजह अलग होती है। कि ज्यादा करके हमारे कंट्री में ये सोशल प्रॉब्लम्स रहते हैं, जब फाइनेंशियल कंसर्न्स रहती है, फियर रहती है कि हमारे ये इलाज के लिए पैसा किधर से आएगा, और ये सब एट्रीब्यूट्स के लिए पेन which is like manifested as a physical symptom is attributed by all these other things. So आप पेन की दवाई देते रहोगे and you don't look at the other aspects, the patient will never be free of pain. WHO ladder, most डॉक्टर्स विल फॉलो दिस कि एक स्टेप वाइज लैडर है, और जब हम पेशेंट्स को पूछते हैं कि आपकी पेन की लेवल कितनी है, हम उनको पूछते हैं 1 से 10 तक हमको ये बताने के लिए, और हर एक स्टेप के लिए लाइक इफ इट इज 1 to 3 वी जस्ट स्टार्ट विद पैरासिटामॉल्स, नॉन ओपियोइड एडजुवेंट थेरेपीज, स्टेप 2 स्टेप 3 वी स्टार्ट पुटिंग ओपियोइड मेडिकेशन। ये एक दूसरी प्रॉब्लम है हमारी कंट्री में, क्योंकि ओपियोइड्स को लेके सब इतने डरते हैं, इंक्लूडिंग डॉक्टर्स. समटाइम्स इवन डॉक्टर्स आर वरीड टू गिव मॉर्फिन एंड ऑल, बट इट इज अ वेरी इजी treatment. It's an oral treatment. It can be moderated. The dosage can be titrated and missing, and we can keep a patient very, very comfortable until all the way till end of life, and we can keep the patient completely pain-free. Apart from that, fatigue, we've also spoken about it, कि कितनी बार कुछ भी करने का मन नहीं होता है, इतनी थकान महसूस होती है, एंड फैमिली मेंबर्स को ये समझ में नहीं आती है कि ये क्यों ऐसे पेशेंट्स करते हैं. तो फैमिली मेंबर्स को एजुकेट करना कि ये क्यों होता है, पेशेंट क्यों इतनी वीकनेस लग रही है, उनके लिए करेक्ट करने के लिए क्या क्या हम हेल्प कर सकते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, उसको चलने के बजाय व्हील चेयर दे सकते हैं. ऑफ कोर्स the pharmacological and the medical part, correcting the anemia, fluid imbalance, all that is the doctor's job. But wo lifestyle modification, diet modification, so the introduction of a nutritionist is all very, very important in taking care of fatigue and weakness. Breathlessness, जैसे मैंने बताया, ये एक दूसरी प्रॉब्लम है जो काफी देखी जाती है. पीपल आर कंप्लीटली ब्रेथलेस, दे कैन नॉट वॉक फॉर मोर देन लाइक 15-20 स्टेप्स एंड दे गेट ब्रेथलेस. सो उसकी वजह ऑफ कोर्स एज आई सेड एक पैथोलॉजिकल तो हो ही सकती है, लंग कैंसर है या कुछ है तो लंग में प्रॉब्लम होने से ब्रेथलेसनेस होती है. लेकिन काफी टाइम पैनिक या एंजाइटी रिलेटेड ब्रेथलेसनेस भी देखी जाती है. जब पेशेंट एक पैनिक अटैक में आ जाते हैं तो वो कंप्लीटली दम नहीं ले सकते हैं, तो उनको रिलैक्स करना, उनको पोस्चर ठीक करना, उनको बात करके थोड़ा manage their anxiety levels, which is very important. So again, as I've already said, you can always use things like oxygen and nebulization and bronchodilators. But apart from that, it is also important to take care of the other non-pharmacological problems. Psychological support, ये अभी आजकल तो काफी every institution में counselors रहते ही हैं, and I think people have started understanding the importance of mental health and the psychological problems. So to have a counselor, to somebody who can listen empathetically, who is non-judgmental, who is trained properly to deal with patients is very, very important. And also we try to foster a process of self-dependency. I think right in the beginning, Dimple ne bhi bataya tha ki each one has to find their own methods, own ways of overcoming these problems. So networking close to home, find friends, find relatives who can support them, because a counselor or a doctor cannot be with the patient all the time. So it's very important to have a support system within the home, within the society, who can help. Like suddenly panic attack aa jaye, to kya kar sakte hain? So networking and family support, very, very important. Social support, as we again mentioned, financial aid. So there are lots and lots of NGOs which are coming up now to give this kind of social support. टैबू ऑफ कैंसर, लाइक जैसे मैंने पहले भी बताया, गांव में ज्यादा करके होता है, जिधर कैंसर को एक इन्फेक्शियस डिजीज माना जाता है, या कभी कभी उनको वो भूत, इसमें भी स्पिरिचुअल, इसमें भी ये है कि उसने कुछ बुरा काम किया है, इसके लिए उसका ये पनिशमेंट है, ये कैंसर हो गया है उसको. सो ये सब रिमूव करना हमारी जिम्मेवारी है. दिस इज सोशल अवेयरनेस. वी हैव टू क्रिएट a voice for this, that cancer is nothing but a pathological problem, and it has nothing to do with the bad or good deeds of a person. Help in the community, educating the community, very, very important. And care for the caregivers. Now, this is something which we often forget. हम इतना patient पे concentrate करते हैं कि जो caregiver है, जो patient को देखते हैं, उनका कोई भी सोचता नहीं है, उनको हम सभी ज्यादा करके भूल जाते हैं. And एक्चुअली हमने देखा है कि कितनी बार पेशेंट से ज्यादा जो केयर गिवर्स है उनको ये सब सपोर्ट की ज्यादा जरूरत होती है. Spiritual needs, we've already mentioned, and there are actual tools like FICA, FACET, where there are Indian design tools also, where we can gauge and see the impact of the spiritual distress which is there in the patient. We can identify the problem and the goals of care of the patient, and then understanding from which community the person comes from, what are their spiritual beliefs, and not breaking any of that or not going against any of their beliefs. Just giving them spiritual counseling, spiritual advice is very important. And this definitely gives a lot of solace to a lot of patients. So, एक palliative care team में कौन-कौन होता है? Like we've always said, like again, I've been repeatedly saying it's a team effort. So physical dimension को manage करने के लिए physicians, doctors रहते ही हैं, nurses रहते हैं, all sorts of therapists, physiotherapists, occupation therapists, respiratory therapists. Nowadays we have a therapist for every problem that you can think of. So the involvement of all those therapists as part of our multifaceted team, very important. Nutritionists, we mentioned diet, we mentioned fatigue. To have the right nutrition, very important. Pharmacists who can kind of titrate the doses for the patients, and volunteers are always there. The functional part, who actually deliver this kind of care, are the nurses, the therapists, and the volunteers. The interpersonal dimension, psychologists, counselors, social workers. Social worker का बहुत महत्व है इसमें, क्योंकि जैसे मैंने बताया, स्पेशली आवर कंट्री में सोशल प्रॉब्लम्स बहुत ज्यादा है, एंड जब एक सोशल वर्कर इन्वॉल्व हो जाता है ये टीम में, it makes life for the patient and the caregivers very easy. They know they are kind of guided as to where they can go, etc. There are different transcendental dimensions where we अपने country में इतने chaplains and all नहीं रहते हैं, but in spite of that, we kind of try to bring in spirituality without talking about a particular religion. So we do have people like that who will just talk about spirituality and not talk about religion per se. And so basically this is a multifaceted team, and what I've already mentioned, easier described through this thing, where the patient always has to be at the center. Whatever we are doing, we have to remember that we are doing it for the patient and for the family. Then comes the community, and then the rest of us. So it has to be an interdisciplinary team. And what is the prerequisite of the team? See, this is another very important team. हम किसी को भी उठा के एक palliative care team में नहीं रख सकते हैं. We have to see how effective that person is, how the individual works in a team. Is the person capable of communicating with others, supplementing each other, supporting each other, and maintaining the morale of the team? So that effectiveness of the person is very important. Communication. मैं बार-बार बोलती रहूंगी because communication is so important. How do they communicate with the patient, families, as also with each other? So a very important prerequisite of a palliative care team member is good communication skills. ये सब सिखाया भी जाता है. ये palliative care की बहुत stringent training होती है, जिसमें जो भी थेरेपिस्ट है या जो भी नर्स है या जो भी डॉक्टर है, उसको ये पूरी पैलिएटिव केयर की ट्रेनिंग लेनी पड़ती है बिफोर दे बिकम अ पार्ट ऑफ द टीम. एंड वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, हार्मनी इन वर्किंग टुगेदर फॉर ऑल. हमको याद में रखना है कि हम हमारे लिए काम नहीं कर रहे हैं, हम पेशेंट और उनके फैमिलीज के लिए काम कर रहे हैं. हेंस it has to be a very cohesive and a harmonious working surrounding. बेसिक प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ मेडिकल एथिक्स वो जो कभी भी हमको भूलना नहीं चाहिए. रिस्पेक्टिंग द ऑटोनॉमी, बेनिफिसेंस विच मीन्स पेशेंट के लिए अच्छा करो, नॉन मैलिफिशियंस विच मीन्स पेशेंट को हार्म नहीं होना चाहिए. जैसे मैंने बताया, जब भी हमको लगेगा कि जब ट्रीटमेंट पेशेंट को ज्यादा हार्म करेगा बेनिफिट के बजाय में, तो उनको डेफिनेटली स्टॉप करना चाहिए. एंड जस्टिस, बी फेयर. सो अंडरस्टैंडिंग द लिमिट्स ऑफ ईच ऑफ दीज प्रिंसिपल्स. Medical futility. Again, I've already said this, that doctors are not just legally and ethically bound to administer treatments that are futile. They should definitely know when to stop. Withholding or withdrawing a futile treatment is not euthanasia. कि अब कभी actually family members को भी ऐसे लगता है कि अभी मैं ये पेशेंट का को वेंटिलेटर से निकाल दूंगा या पेशेंट वेंटिलेटर स्टॉप कर दूंगा तो मैं इट इज अ काइंड ऑफ यूथनेसिया. इट इज नॉट. So it is absolutely important to understand that. And मैं आगे चल के बात करूंगी कि अभी तो हमारे कंट्री में it's legally possible to make a living will. So जब पेशेंट साउंड हेल्थ में है, पहले से डिसाइड कर सकते हैं कि उनकी एंड ऑफ लाइफ में उनको क्या क्या ट्रीटमेंट मिलना चाहिए और क्या नहीं मिलना चाहिए. इफ द पेशेंट डिसाइड्स कि हमको वेंटिलेटर पे नहीं जाना है, वो पहले से एक विल, एक डॉक्यूमेंट बना के रख सकते हैं. ये एक्चुअली दिस बिल हैज ऑलरेडी बीन पास्ड. इट्स अ लीगल एक्ट, बट द इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ऑफ इट इज नॉट वेरी क्लियर. हेंस काफी लोग के मन में ये बहुत हाउ इज इट टू बी इम्प्लीमेंटेड इज येट अ क्वेश्चन मार्क. But the law very much exists in our country that if a patient does not want any treatment, he or she can make his own decision not to get it. Where can palliative care be given? Is it important कि patient को hospital में ही लाना जरूरी है? बिल्कुल नहीं. Palliative care किधर भी दे सकते हैं, OPDs में दे सकते हैं. Serious patients को जब admission चाहिए तब ward भी कर सकते हैं. Hospice, this is another saying. Unfortunately, हमारे कंट्री में इतने ज्यादा नहीं है. हमारे बॉम्बे में एक बहुत बहुत अच्छा शांति अवेदना है, which I think was the first and I think yet, at least in major parts of Bombay, is the only hospice which is there. जिधर कुछ भी ज्यादा ट्रीटमेंट नहीं देते हुए पेशेंट को कंफर्टेबल रखने की that's the idea of a hospice. एंड मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंटली ये घर में भी हो सकता है. नॉट जस्ट घर में, हमने रास्ते पे भी किया है. जो लोग बेचारे रास्ते पे रहते हैं, रास्ते पे जाके भी हमने पैलिएटिव केयर ऑफर किया है. सो इट्स नॉट इम्पॉर्टेंट कि पैलिएटिव केयर के लिए पैसा चाहिए या हॉस्पिटल में जाना जरूरी है. हम घर में जाके घर वालों को सिखाते हैं और ये ऐसे भी हो सकता है. I cannot not talk about COVID क्योंकि current times में ये इतनी बड़ी एक चैलेंज हो गई है हमारे लिए और हमारे पेशेंट्स के लिए. क्योंकि ऑलरेडी प्रॉब्लम्स कैंसर पेशेंट्स के लिए तो ऑलवेज थे ही, लेकिन उसके अलावा अभी ये एड ऑन प्रॉब्लम हुआ है जो कोविड के वजह से हुआ है. सो दोनों जो एग्जिस्टिंग पेशेंट्स है उसको भी प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है और ज्यादा करके जो अभी न्यूली डायग्नोस्ड है उनको तो आई थिंक ज्यादा ही प्रॉब्लम्स हो रहे हैं. तो वेयर डू यू फाइंड अ डॉक्टर? या बेचारे लाइक एक्चुअली बॉम्बे इज अ हब. पूरे इंडिया से पेशेंट्स बॉम्बे आते हैं टाटा मेमोरियल में इलाज के लिए और इस टाइम में सॉरी वो नहीं आ पाते हैं. फिजिकल सिम्टम्स आर नॉट एड्रेस. काफी टाइम हम लोग सिर्फ टेलीफोनिकली या जैसे हम अभी भी कर रहे हैं जस्ट टेली कंसल्टेशन करते हैं डॉक्टर्स के साथ, पेशेंट्स के साथ. तो पेशेंट को फिजिकली हम एग्जामिन नहीं कर सकते हैं. फियर, एंजाइटी तो रहती ही है. सेपरेशन, जब पेशेंट्स को हॉस्पिटल में एडमिट करना पड़ता है तो कोई भी फैमिली मेंबर्स को अलाउ नहीं करते हैं. सो आइसोलेशन जो हो जाता है वो प्रॉब्लम होती है. एंड सो इसके लिए पेशेंट्स को जैसे एक ऑन्कोलॉजिस्ट को पहले नहीं मिल सकते हैं तो पैलिएटिव केयर टीम के साथ जुड़ जाते हैं, जो क्योंकि बिकॉज द पैलिएटिव टीम कैन देन like not only address their physical symptoms but also guide the patient as to what is happening. एंड एग्जिस्टिंग पेशेंट्स के लिए भी सेम प्रॉब्लम है. जैसे जिधर कैंसर सेंटर्स नजदीक नहीं रहते हैं, जिसको दूर दूर तक ट्रैवल करना पड़ता है, कीमोथेरेपी बहुत देयर वर एक्चुअली गाइडलाइंस, ICMR ने गाइडलाइंस बनाई थी कि जब तक एकदम इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं है तब तक सर्जरी या रेडिएशन या कीमोथेरेपी नहीं करनी चाहिए. सो इट वाज as long as possible, we were told to keep it on hold. That again caused a lot of anxiety for the patients. So how did we deal with all these things? And the first thing that was most important was the family doctor or the general physician. So again, as I said, this became another part of our teamwork कि जिधर एक oncologist, एक palliative care physician, जो general physician है, जो उसके घर के आसपास है, उनके साथ जुड़ जाते हैं एंड उनके थ्रू से वो इलाज कर सकते हैं या एटलीस्ट बेसिक इलाज कर सकते हैं. Oncology therapy should be feasible and optimized. Patients can contact GP. So जैसे मैंने बताया, जो GP रहता है, general physician, जो घर के पास है, उसके थ्रू नेटवर्क करके ये कर सकते हैं. Later on, I'm going to talk about the Mumbai network of palliative care. कि हमारे मुंबई में अभी एक बहुत अच्छी चीज हो गई है कि काफी सारे palliative care ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस है और हमने एक पूरा नेटवर्क बनाया है. सो पूरा साउथ बॉम्बे से लेके कंप्लीट कॉर्नर्स ऑफ मुंबई तक हमारे पास ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस है जो अलग अलग लोकेशंस पे है. सो इफ थ्रू द नेटवर्क वी कैन मेक श्योर दैट द पेशेंट्स नीड्स आर catered to. All doctors are practicing, as I said, telemedicine using video chats, तो वो तो हो ही सकता है. मॉर्फिन का एक बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो गया था ये टाइम पे, जब स्पेशली ड्यूरिंग द कंप्लीट लॉकडाउन. अभी तो सब खुल गया है, लेकिन when patients could not come for the prescriptions, so at least it was good कि certain pharmacies ने हमारे साथ फोन के में बात करके भी अग्री कर दिया था कि हम उनको बाद में हम फोन पे उसको प्रिस्क्रिप्शन बेच देते थे और फिर बाद में फिजिकल प्रिस्क्रिप्शन भी देते थे, क्योंकि मॉर्फिन के लिए 3 ओरिजिनल प्रिस्क्रिप्शंस चाहिए फार्मासिस्ट के लिए. Home care, which was normally being provided during this time, it was extremely difficult for home care teams also to visit the doctor, to visit the patients. ट्रांसपोर्ट नहीं था, फिर सेकेंडली सेफ नहीं था. अभी तो हम PPE किट्स पहन के, ये करके, मास्क पहन के ये सब मैनेज कर रहे हैं. एंड होलिस्टिक केयर एट ऑल टाइम. सो इम्प्रूविंग कम्युनिकेशन, जो कुछ भी और नहीं हो सकता है तो एटलीस्ट पेशेंट के साथ हम फोन पे बात करके उनको थोड़ी लाइक वी यूज्ड टू कंफर्ट देम with this thing. Coming back to teamwork, and now I'll start talking about OnCare. So as you can see, OnCare is this beautiful place located in this very beautiful surrounding. It's part of the Masina Hospital, which is really beautiful. It has a lot of greenery, and the whole concept of this place is that it should not look like a hospital. काफी patients हमको बोलते हैं कि हमको इधर आके लगता है कि हम कोई hill station पे पहुंच गए हैं करके. Of course, these are some of our patients who regularly visit us. So what are the facilities we have? We have everything that I have already talked about. We have palliative care doctors who are specifically trained to deliver palliative care. We have counselors which are trained again. We have physiotherapists, we have occupational therapists, we have respiratory therapists, we have nutritionists who come and talk to our patients, not just talk to the patients, but they even demonstrate certain recipes. So we have let me come down to that. We have different activities through the day. So OnCare is a daycare center. It starts in the morning at 10 a.m. and it goes on till 4:35 in the evening. We provide, firstly, we do not charge patients for any of these activities. ये बिल्कुल मुफ्त में है अब तक के लिए. We provide lunches, the lunch in the afternoon. Of course, let me अभी मैं बता दूं कि ये लॉकडाउन के दौरान और अब तक हमने कोई भी ये ग्रुप एक्टिविटी जो पहले होती थी लॉकडाउन के पहले, ये अभी मार्च 21 के बाद से पूरी बंद है अभी. एंड वी आर होपिंग कि जैसे थोड़ा सिचुएशन बेटर हो हम वापस इम्प्रूव कर सकते हैं. सो ग्रुप थेरेपीज नहीं हो रही है, लेकिन इंडिविजुअल थेरेपीज बिल्कुल चालू है. सो किसी को भी कुछ भी लाइक हेल्प चाहिए कभी भी आ सकते हैं. हमारे पास जैसे पेशेंट्स हमारे साथ पूरे दिन रहते हैं, हमको उनको बोर्ड नहीं करना है, तो हमारे पास एक पूरा स्केड्यूल है जिसमें हम दिन में 3 से 4 अलग अलग एक्टिविटीज, जैसे कि योगा है, आर्ट थेरेपी है, म्यूजिक एंड मूवमेंट थेरेपी है, माइंडफुलनेस इज एन एस्पेक्ट which teaches the patients and the families to remain in the present moment. काफी बार पेशेंट्स बहुत आगे की सोचना शुरू कर देते हैं, और काफी बार मेरा आंसर उनको यही होता है कि मुझे कल क्या होगा वो मुझे भी खुद को पता नहीं है। मैं फुल्ली हेल्दी हूँ, मेरे को कुछ बीमारी नहीं है, बट फिर भी कल मेरे को क्या होगा पता नहीं है। तो कल का सोच के क्यों टेंशन में रहे, आज का मोमेंट एंजॉय करो, आज में रहो, बी इन द प्रेजेंट। एंड उसमें भी टेक्निक्स रहती है, मेडिटेशन एक्सेट्रा, जो हमारे पास ट्रेन माइंडफुलनेस एक्सपर्ट्स है जो फॉलो कराते हैं। न्यूट्रिशन सपोर्ट, जैसे मैंने बताया, हमारे न्यूट्रिशनिस्ट नॉट ओनली डू दे गिव इंडिविजुअल डाइट चार्ट्स डिपेंडिंग ऑन द डाइटरी हैबिट्स, बट ऑल्सो लाइक काफी बार हमको उनको बोलते हैं व्हीट ग्रास खाओ या ये खाओ या वो खाओ, लेकिन वो कैसे खाए, उसको कैसे उनके रूटीन डाइट में इन्वॉल्व करें, वो समझ में नहीं आता है। तो हमारी जो न्यूट्रिशनिस्ट है वो पूरी रेसिपीज डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करती है ग्रुप के लिए, और उसको रेसिपीज देते भी है। और इस तरीके म्यूजिक एंड कैरियोके, म्यूजिक तो सबसे बड़ा हीलिंग टूल है, एंड आई थिंक वी कैन नॉट टेक अवे फ्रॉम दैट, इट्स अ वेरी वेरी यूजफुल टूल। ग्रुप काउंसलिंग, काउंसलिंग वन ऑन वन तो होता ही है, लेकिन जब ग्रुप में आके, जब लोग एक दूसरे के साथ मिलके, लाइक व्हेन यू क्रिएट अ सेफ स्पेस एंड पीपल शेयर देयर स्टोरीज विद ईच अदर, इट्स अ वेरी वेरी गुड लर्निंग टूल। क्योंकि पहले सबको ऐसा लगता है कि मुझे ही क्यों हुआ है, मैं ही क्यों ऐसे हूँ, लेकिन जब एक ग्रुप में आ जाता है, जब when they realize that they are not the only ones on this journey, do they realize the importance of connecting with each other, sharing their problems. So hence we have a lot of support groups, especially for different diseases. ग्रुप फिजियोथेरेपी, सो फिजियोथेरेपी वो भी सब ग्रुप पे कराई जाती है। एंड इंटरेक्शन विद स्कूल चिल्ड्रन, बिकॉज बच्चों के साथ टाइम मिलाना, बच्चों के साथ ये करके ऑटोमेटिकली आपका टेंशन दूर हो जाता है। तो हमारे साथ काफी सारे स्कूल्स जुड़े हुए हैं जो आके वीक में एक बार उनके साथ गेम्स खेलते हैं, उसके साथ गाना गाते हैं, जस्ट स्पेंड गुड क्वालिटी टाइम विद देम। सो ये मैं एक थोड़ा एग्जाम्पल देना चाहूंगी, मीन्स एक थोड़ा ये है जिसमें हमारा डांस थेरेपी का एक सेशन है, जिसका थोड़ी एक ग्लिम्स है, और आप देख सकते हो कि बच्चे बूढ़े सब साथ में मिलके उनको एंजॉय करते हैं। सो इट्स नॉट कि इट्स मेंट फॉर एनी पर्टिकुलर एज ग्रुप। एक और दूसरा छोटा सा वीडियो है। और हमारे जो पेशेंट्स है उसमें भी लाइक हम किसी को भी ये नहीं करते हैं, हमारे पास हर एक एज ग्रुप के अलग अलग पेशेंट्स आते हैं, अलग अलग स्टेजेस ऑफ द डिजीज में। कोई अभी ट्रीटमेंट ले रहा है, दिस इज पार्ट ऑफ म्यूजिक थेरेपी, विच इज अगेन अ वेरी हीलिंग प्रोसेस. We do it sometimes in the outdoors because we have the advantage of this green space that we have. And it's done in smaller groups, it's done in bigger groups. This is Sachi, who is our music therapist, and she kind of conducts these activities with our patients. Patients actually look forward to these activities, like depending on their preferences, on their skill sets. Like किसी को म्यूजिक थेरेपी पसंद है, किसी को डांस थेरेपी पसंद है, तो वो अपना दिन चूज करके, हमारे पास एक पूरा टाइम टेबल है जिसमें हम अलग अलग दिन कौन सी एक्टिविटीज है वो पहले से बता के रखते हैं, सो पेशेंट्स कैन डिसाइड विच डेज दे वांट टू कम। हमारे पास एक एम्बुलेंस भी है जो ज्यादा करके ये सब धर्मशाला में जिधर पेशेंट्स रहते हैं, जो टाटा मेमोरियल के आसपास ज्यादा करके है, उधर से पेशेंट्स को लाने की सुविधा भी हमारे पास है। Go on to the next. So in summary, let me just conclude by saying that palliative care should be instituted early as part of the interdisciplinary care in patients with any life-limiting disorder, especially advanced cancers जब पहले से diagnose होते हैं। और as I said, several international bodies such as ASCO, ESMO have put it in their guidelines that it is not end-of-life care. Palliative care should be started right at the beginning. Determining the cause of symptoms and effectiveness of the therapeutic interventions. So जब पेन है, ऐसा मत सिर्फ सोचते रहो कि फिजिकल प्रॉब्लम है, उसका सिम्टम्स एंड उसकी इफेक्टिव थेरेपी बहुत बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है। incorporating non-pharmacological and pharmacological measures, as I've again been saying it repeatedly, that all these different therapies that we use, it's the music therapy or is it dance therapy or mindfulness, all these important parts of the whole therapeutic thing. And it is the holistic management of just not the physical, but the psychological, social, and the spiritual aspects of the person and the family. So the top 10 things that palliative care does, I think that we've gone through enough of this time. It very, very importantly also helps in the financial aspects, जो हम काफी बार भूल जाते हैं, because पहले से जब हम पेशेंट्स को वार्न करके रखते हैं, बता के रखते हैं कि प्रॉब्लम्स क्या होने वाली है, एंटिसिपेट करते हैं, तो उनको हर टाइम भाग के हॉस्पिटल भी नहीं जाना पड़ता है. एंड as a result, the healthcare value also increases. There are lots of NGOs such as us who give free of cost treatment also. So all these things are very important aspects of palliative care. And as I said, I can go on and on talking about how good we are, but the proof of the pudding is in eating it. And we have had a lot of positive comments about OnCare. Some have called it a home away from home. Some of them have called it a paracetamol. ये हमारे काफी young 31 साल का एक, he's no more of course. He used to say कि मैं OnCare में आके सब मेरा दर्द चला जाता है, मुझे पैरासिटामोल या कुछ भी दवाई की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ती है. तो ही यूज्ड टू कॉल OnCare पैरासिटामोल, मेरा पैरासिटामोल है OnCare. और सो ऐसे काफी सारे सेटिस्फाइड पेशेंट्स हैं. और जैसे मैंने पहले भी बताया, हमारा एक ये मुंबई पैलिएटिव केयर नेटवर्क है, विच इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. और ये वेबसाइट्स है, आप लाइक यू कैन आस्क the organizers to share this slide with you, maybe to give you these the contacts, and this gives you a list of all. There are so many private hospitals now who have palliative care. Kokilabed, there are Leelavati, there are all the big hospitals have seen the need for palliative care and have introduced it as part of their hospitals. There are lots of NGOs such as us who do home care, who have organizations, who give services. And we are, as I said, located in different parts of Mumbai. Hence, patients can be helped all throughout Mumbai. And this is a very, very important network. And very soon, on the 10th of October, we are going to be celebrating the World Hospice and Palliative Care Day. ये हर साल second Saturday of October में होता है. This time it's going to be on the 10th of October, and we are going to have a very interesting and interactive discussions jisme very renowned doctors such as Dr. Baman Dabar, Dr. Mary Ann Mukadan, who is the authority of palliative care. They're all going to be on the panel. Very soon we'll share the link, and again I'll request the organizers to share these details with all of you, and you can log in on Saturday, that's the coming Saturday, and take part or take advantage of this thing. And I would like to end my talk with saying that I love this quote by Anne Richardson, who says, if we cannot change the outcome, we can definitely affect the journey. So हम किसी को भी ऐसे नहीं बोलते हैं कि हम आपकी कैंसर को हमेशा के लिए क्योर कर सकते हैं, लेकिन आपकी जो जर्नी है उसको डेफिनेटली बेहतर बना सकते हैं. So thank you very much. And I'd now like to, invite any kind of questions or comments or...
Yeah, we have lots of questions. Can we stop the screen sharing now?
Yes. Oh, sorry, 1 second. I don't think I've stopped it, have I?
Yeah, you have stopped it already.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you, Dr. Mistry, for such an amazing, enlightening and informative session. Learned a lot from you in the session, and इतना जो आपने अच्छा holistic approach बताया है cancer treatment का journey का, it was beautiful learning it from you. We talked about starting from disease management to the different aspects in care, be it physical aspect or psychological or emotional, spiritual, financial, and everything else. So social as well. Thank you so much for talking about end of life and loss and grief. And what is palliative care and what is end of life care, which two are completely different. So very amazing session. And when you were talking about pain management, and the pain is not only physical, many times we are not able to see what kind, I mean, physically we cannot see that pain, but still the patient says that, yes, I am in pain, which could be emotional pain or the social pain or some other pain which you cannot see. So, yeah, we have one question, and then I have so many questions to ask you. We have one question from Vikas Ranjan. When you talked about death index, तो उसमें जो इंडिया का पोजीशन था, is that overall death or was that only death related to cancer?
No, overall death. Overall death.
Right.
It's overall death.
Yeah, it was a good knowing about quality of death as well. We all know about improving quality of life, but very few talk about improving quality of death.
So we have seen that, it is like, it's like सबको लगता है that death तो होना ही है, and then it has to be like, people see them in pain, people see them suffering towards the end of life. ज्यादा करके क्या हो जाता है that people rush them to the hospital जब breathlessness होना शुरू करते हैं. So patients are so worried, the relatives are so worried that they do not know how to deal with them. So once you teach them or start talking to them about death from the beginning, tell them the different ways in which you can keep the patient comfortable even at home, then this thing becomes it becomes much more bearable. See, death is like definitely losing a dear one. There's definitely going to be grief. There's definitely going to be the anxiety of separation. But all that can be reduced to a lot, like a big level, and especially for the patient, where the suffering, the physical suffering at least, can be minimized. And even the mental and spiritual, like once you started talking to the patient about death from the beginning, the acceptance of death becomes much, much more easy.
So what I've seen, Dr. Mistry, while working with patients, that patients are okay to talk about death, but their caregivers are not. They are very scared. They don't. If you talk about death in front of caregivers, they will start hating you and they will never come back to you.
So let me share again a personal experience with you, and I can understand this 100%. And for me, because I've gone through this journey, I started by saying that it was my father at the age of 80 when he was diagnosed with CLL. I talked to the whole world about death and preparing them for it. But when it came to my own father, I could not do it. I just could not do it. And like you are saying, very rightly so, he was very positive. He used to keep saying, I've lived my life. I've done everything I've had to. So I'm not worried about going. But for me, it was so difficult to talk to him about that. So I understand exactly what you're saying. But again, it is, I think, good communication on our part where we talk to the relatives separately. We talk to them, like exactly what I'm saying, talk to them about the importance. Many a times, even the legal and other practical aspects of it. Because when you don't talk about that, for example, if it's making a will, it's very, very important. Sometimes, the people are living in a joint family and the wife has no hold in this thing. And once the husband goes, for example, then she has no hold in the family. So we definitely talk to them from beginning and say that, look, these are some legal aspects which you may want to sort out, And it's just general. See, you can't expect them to understand everything in the first visit. Yeah. But it is repeated talking to them. And of course, definitely, finally, you have to respect the autonomy is theirs if they wish to this thing. But even when it comes to collusion of not telling the patient the diagnosis, no human being, I think, is a fool. When so many times, even the elderly, when they are brought to hospitals routinely every day for different treatments, different this thing, and then they ask their family members, "Ki mujhe kya hua hai?" And the children will say, "Nahi, kuch nahi hua hai." Now the patient is not dumb; they know ki kuch to hua hai. Why am I being brought to this hospital so many times? So, and then that leads to more further anxiety for the patients. कि ये तो कुछ मुझे बता नहीं रहे, that means मुझे कुछ बहुत ज़्यादा हुआ है. So that is what we try to explain to the relatives. That ना बताने से the problems will not decrease. They will only increase for the patient. So again, it has to be gradually done. It has to be done in different sessions, explaining to them, and only if they are ready, and encouraging them. Okay, हम नहीं बताएंगे, it's better than you will talk about it.
Right. Right.
So we try to encourage it.
Yeah, there was a next question from Digesh. The role of alternative or complementary therapies within palliative care framework. And to answer this, I will add my point of view, and Dr. Mistry, you can add yours after that. So I believe complementary therapies are those which goes with medical treatment. And after when the medical treatment is over, and if patient wants to move towards, let's say, holistic healing or any other form of treatment, because now doctor said that nothing can be done in this case. So I believe that these therapies they prevent or reduce side effects of symptoms of cancer and other treatment patient has undergone. It also boosts the effectiveness of conventional treatment, and it also protect normal tissues from the damage of the medical treatment what has already been done. And it also promotes general wellness and resilience to build body strength and to reduce the progression of cancer. So can you please share your point of view on this?
Yeah, so this is a tricky and very often asked question. So, firstly, I would like to intervene here and say that when you're talking of complementary medicine, there are two types of it. One is when there is a qualified Ayurvedic practitioner or a qualified homeopathic practitioner or a qualified acupuncturist who we say, like, look, we don't know about Ayurveda. I don't know how that drug is going to interact or interwork with my thing. But if you yet want to try, I will not stop you. But there may be some, because especially even in Ayurveda, there are heavy metals, there are certain. So we also tell them to check with that. The second line is the professional line of babas and Vaids and people who claim to be healers. Like faith healing. And so again, we are nobody to tell them don't do it or something. But again, we say this is not our expertise. This is not in our realm of this thing. But I would be a little skeptical, especially if they are on some primary treatment, for them to mix that. Because I've seen very often this happening that, they go to some person who will promises them a complete cure and everything. For 6 months, you don't see the patient. And then they come back to us in such a bad condition that virtually nothing can be done. So we do warn them that, look, we are always here, but I will not give you a guarantee, or I cannot say that you should go or not. Choice is entirely yours. Yet, in spite of that, if they're going to any professional, like a qualified Ayurveda or something, we have no objections.
Right. Yeah, it's very important. And that's why the whole concept of integrative oncology came in. Integrative oncology is nothing but all those things which you mentioned to improve quality of life and extending life by doing taking a comprehensive approach. And that's where your onco-nutritionist or the physiotherapist or psychologist will all come together as a team to take care of your journey.
Precisely. That's why in OnCare we have it, as I said, as part of our routine schedule. Yeah. Because as I mentioned, it's a daycare facility. Patients are with us from morning to evening. And throughout the day, we have all these different things happening.
Great.
To this thing, to kind of incorporate all the different aspects.
So there was a next question from Digesh. How can caregivers help themselves when they are taking care of a patient?
Very, very important, as I said, So we have, again, NGOs. There's a NGO called Caregiver Sathi, and who focus only on the caregivers. And the mental, this thing of the caregiver, and again, like even an NGO like us, like OnCare, one of our mission, this thing is to provide respite to the caregiver. Now that can happen by leaving your patient with us. Because it's a daycare facility, I said, we look after the patient through the day. So the caregiver has some respite in being able to either carry out some work of their own or just go for a movie or go out somewhere with their friends. So it's that break is very, very important. Not to feel guilty. Like a lot of times, especially if their spouses, the caregiver gives very, very, this thing, they feel very guilty ke, मैं उसको छोड़ के, I'm going to enjoy myself. But again, we explain to them that your health is so important. You can give your 100% only if you are 100% fit. So for you to take that break, so again, it's all part of counseling, it's all part of communication, it's all part of talking. And there are, again, as I said, lots of NGOs who are focusing only on the caregiver, not so much on the patients. Right. Because this caregiver fatigue, caregiver drain out is very, very often seen.
Right. And there's one question from Vikas that if some patient from outside Mumbai wants to come to OnCare, so how can they do that?
Oh, well, so it's in Masina Hospital. You have my details, you have my email. Please share it with whoever you feel like,
Got it.
and we can definitely help them. I will share with you my official email ID also of OnCare and Enkidabur.
Yeah.
You can definitely share our email with whoever wants it, and please be in touch with us. And as I mentioned, we do not have a night stay facility. We only have a daycare facility. So patients, the ones outstation patients who normally come to us are from all these various dharamshalas, which are surrounding Tata Memorial Hospital. So
Right.
there is this Gadge Maharaj. There are so many. There is the Gurudwara. There is Nana Palkar. And some are good and some are not so good. Some of them have these massive dormitories, not the best of surroundings. So for the patient to spend the whole day there becomes very depressive, very drab. So what they do is, as I said, we have an ambulance. We send them across to all these different dharamshalas because we are located at Baikala. So geographically, we take cover that area. We pick up, or even patients who come to Dadar station, we pick them up from the station, and like they spend the whole day with us. So which includes all the meals during the day. So we give them tea, coffee, snacks through the day. There's a whole, even the meal comes from the hospital. So again, it's a properly balanced meal. People with different needs, like a diabetic diet or a soft diet, we can even cater to those different needs, and that's how we manage the patients.
Got it. That's wonderful what OnCare is doing. Yeah, I have been to Gadge Maharaj, Dharamshala, Borges, and many others, and I've seen condition of the patients.
Correct.
So in that, whatever little bit of relief, what you or any one of us can provide, that's like a blessing to them as well as to us.
So as you saw, a lot of those patients, bulk of our patients come from these different places.
Yeah. So we have a question from Mehul Vyas. If people are trying to go for some alternative treatment, like one who guarantees a cure and all those fake cures, would it not help by educating the caregivers and patient what cancer is, how it is caused, how it needs to be treated? Also asking them to show a person who has survived and cured by that treatment.
So we do all of that. We do during our times. We have talks. We have talks by experts. We have talks. There are survivors who do come and motivate. That's called advocacy. Yeah. So we do have patient survivors who come and share their experiences with the patients. And again, having said that, I'm not 100% skeptical about alternative medicine. So I would like again to this saying that if you're going, like for example, there are Ayurvedic doctors with whom we have worked with earlier in the past,
Yeah.
We have done clinical trials. So again, for us, everything is evidence-based. For any, allopathic doctor or this thing, we go by evidence. We do not go by hearsay or belief. So if I tell people, if they come with these claims, I say, okay, you show me a paper or show me some research or show me some authentic document where it has been published that this person or so-and-so has cured so many people.
Exactly.
Right. And so we definitely do educate them. We do. But as I said, again, it's the person's autonomy. I cannot tell the person go or don't go. I can only guide. I can only give them the awareness. I can only give them the knowledge. And then the rest is, of course, for the patient and the caregiver to decide.
Right. And it is really important to educate them what is medical treatment, what is non-medical treatment, what are the evidence, how it is going to help you. And especially, when it is last stage and doctors have already given up that, okay, go home and let the nature takes its course. Nothing can be done. And that time people are very desperate to try different things.
No, so that's the time where palliative care also obviously does come in. So at least you take care of your symptoms.
Right.
I never see, this is exactly what you said. And this is our motto of OnCare, that there is never a time when nothing can be done. You can always do something. Right. It's not possible. Yeah, you may not be able to cure the cancer, or you may not be able to, treat the disease per se. But I hate this phrase that kuch nahi ho sakta hai, and which is very often used, very, very often used.
Yeah.
So that's one of our missions, that we are with the patients throughout their journey. So हम कभी भी ऐसा नहीं बोलते हैं कि कुछ नहीं हो सकता है. हम कुछ ना कुछ तो करते ही हैं.
So, Dr. Mistry, in your, very well said, Mehul, miracle happens. So there is always a hope till the time patient is breathing.
So we believe that do not take the hope away. At the same time, do not give false hope. So right from the beginning, when I said honesty,
Yeah.
Be very honest with the patient.
Yeah.
Like there are some people who will make all these claims. अरे हम आपको बिल्कुल ठीक कर देंगे. ये गलत है. ये गलत है. Give hope, because nobody can take hope away from it. That's where the positivity sets in.
Yeah.
We always say that unless you fight, like this is another very common example I give people, that if you're in a place of war, like when you're on a battlefield, there are two options you have. One is pick up your ammunition and fight.
Yes.
One is to drop your ammunition and run. If you drop your ammunition and run, 99% chances that you'll be shot in your back. Yeah. But if you pick up your guns and try to fight, you have a better chance of this thing, survival.
Right.
So this is what it covers in a nutshell. We cannot, they definitely do not take away the hope, but don't give false hope. So there is a balance between that.
Yeah, wonderful. I also want to know a very practical problem which we listen from patients कि डॉक्टर ने सब कुछ ट्रीटमेंट कर लिया है और अभी हमें बोला है कि हॉस्पिटल मत आओ एंड आपके पास कुछ ही टाइम बचा है. So that time patient go home. So what all things they can do at home to take care of it?
Yes, so exactly. We do teach them, like especially things like wound management. Like if they have, like, when their tumors are very big, especially head and neck, which again we see a lot of head and neck cases. They have these massive tumors. They are bleeding. They are, they get infected. So we teach them how they can take care of those wounds at home. Pain management also, as I said, morphine is an oral tablet. Most even district level hospitals should have the thing of morphine. At least in Maharashtra, we are fighting very hard at district levels to make sure that morphine availability is there. So what we talk of palliative sedation also. Again, if there is no expert palliative care doctor, we are a little worried about the morphine dispensation and all, but we can do that through our networks and things like that also. And even if they are going home, we basically make sure that the caregivers are taught how to take care of the patient.
Sure. So आप कुछ tips बताएंगे which might help caregivers how to take care of a patient. Plus उससे पहले one more question about pain management. So people ask where can we get morphine, or how can we guide them in terms of morphine or opioid?
So morphine, as I said, it's not some over-the-counter medication. Not everybody can listen. There are side effects to morphine, simple ones like constipation, and also so managing the dosing and the titration of the dosing and managing the side effects of morphine, which, as I said, are basically constipation. So giving them prophylactic laxatives and things like that are important. Any qualified doctor, even an MBBS doctor, but having some qualification, is authorized, legally authorized to give a prescription of morphine. Having said that, they may not have the knowledge of it. Hence, any oncology doctor or any palliative care doctor are the ones you should approach for morphine prescriptions, because they are the ones who will be able to guide you properly regarding the dosing and, as I said, taking care of the side effects. It's not like the patient decides कि मुझे आज morphine लेना है तो मैं ले लूँगा. As I said, there is a threshold. Like we follow the WHO ladder. We ask them on a 1 to 10 scale where their pain lies. We believe what they say. Like you're saying, when they say कि बहुत दर्द हो रहा है, and if they say कि I'm suffering with a level 8 pain, we will believe that the patient is. So that's the other thing. Do not say कि नहीं उसको तो कुछ नहीं हुआ है. उसको pain ऐसे इतनी सारी pain कैसे हो सकती है? Believe what the patient says.
Right. Are all oncologists expert or know about doses of morphine?
Most medical oncologists, I think, should be. Even surgical oncologists, to a certain degree, would be. But it's always a palliative care physician because they've gone through the training of this thing, who will be best suited to prescribe morphine. So as I said, even hospitals like Tata Memorial or most big hospitals now have a department of palliative care. Even the government hospitals like KEM and all, we are training. Actually, we as a network, the Mumbai Palliative Care Network, has taken it upon themselves, at least within Maharashtra. See, certain states like Kerala and all are doing beautifully. They have so many palliative care centers and Talam India, and they're doing fantastic work. We are trying to follow in their footsteps. We may never reach where they have reached, but we are trying. We are trying with at the government level also. So as I said, we are trying to train the district level hospitals. We are trying to make sure that the availability of morphine is available at every district level. So we are trying through our sources, but let's hope things improve.
Yeah. And if a patient has prescription from doctor for morphine, where can they go to get it with the prescription?
So technically any chemist should have it, but not all chemists have it. So most chemists, again, attached to any big hospital, like any hospital chemist will 99% have it. Your round the corner chemist will not have it. Because there are a lot of, it's not like he cannot keep it, but the legal statutory compliances are so many, and the cost of morphine is not much. So it just does not help the chemist to keep it. So it's not this thing, it does not help the chemist to go through all the hassles for what he is getting. Hence, it's not available everywhere, but most hospitals, hospital chemists attached to any hospital will definitely have.
So are we talking about tablets or are we talking about IV morphine?
They are both. They're in different forms. Since I was talking to the general public, I did not get into the technical part of it. So you have different, opioids are in different forms. Morphine is the most commonly used one. We have certain other opioids which are used as patches also. Those are a little more expensive, but when need be, we prescribe those also. Coming back to morphine, yes, it's IV, it's injectable, it is oral. So it can be given in different forms depending on the condition of the patient. As I said, when we are talking of palliative sedation, when the patient is absolutely in the end stage and going through a lot of this thing, we kind of keep the patient just sedated through this thing. That's the time when IV morphine is used. But in most normal pain, it's oral morphine.
Got it. And one other question which we get often from fourth stage cancer patients, that when do we decide or how do we decide that it's time that we stop medical treatment and move towards palliative care?
So again, as I said, it's not either or. What we tell them is that they should both go on together. Till the oncologist feels, because many times even things like chemotherapy or radiation is given in a palliative setting. We are not trying to cure or treat, completely cure the patient, but just because sometimes if the tumor expands too much, the problems which come through that are much more. So when you're giving low dose chemotherapy, it's basically only a palliative chemotherapy. So it's not either or. We should both be taken simultaneously. There will come a time when the oncologist says, okay, I think we've tried everything. This chemotherapy is causing more toxicity and causing you more harm. Hence, I don't think we should continue with chemotherapy. Then the patient may choose to come on only this thing, only palliative. But it does not mean that when you're taking your mainline treatment, you have to stop, and then it's not either or. They both have to be taken simultaneously.
Right. Very true. In fact, I was just reading something on palliative care, and one important thing what I learned about this, that starting palliative care early, because symptoms can arise and impact your quality of life at any stage of your cancer experience.
Absolutely.
And the symptoms which you very well talked about, it can come at diagnosis or during treatment, including treatment intended to cure also. And delaying onset treatment effects may arise after treatment is completed, even if the cancer is in remission. And these symptoms may accompany advanced stages of cancer. So it's really important that we manage those symptoms and side effects so that cancer also doesn't progress further. And it's really important for family members also, for caregivers also, to start palliative care, which is nothing but improving your quality of life.
Absolutely. And like you rightly said, and today even the oncologists have realized the importance of early palliative care. Because what used to happen earlier was that the symptoms sometimes used to be so bad that patients used to just give up on treatment. Like they would take 2 cycles and then just abandon the treatment, saying, no, ye to mujhe maut aa jaye to better hai, ye treatment mujhe nahi lena hai. But when you're controlling the symptoms, the compliance to the main treatment becomes better. So again, this, when people ask me whether, palliative care increases life, this is one reason why your life increases, your prognosis becomes better, because your compliance to your main treatment is better.
Right.
Your treatment, your side effects are taken care of. You're not so miserable. Less chances that you will drop out of your treatment.
Right.
And hence, your outcome will be obviously better because you've completed your treatment.
Exactly.
In India, we see a very, very high rate of abandonment of, like, either it's a financial reason or it's the reason is because they cannot tolerate the side effects.
Absolutely.
So hence, the combination of both is very, and I think increasingly, especially oncologists who have now started working with us closely, they have realized the importance of palliative care.
Right.
And right from the beginning, and since they are so busy and they already don't have time to deal and talk at length and all, they send the patients immediately to us.
Yeah.
Because their life becomes easier, the patient's life becomes easier. So as I said, once you have this teamwork, the whole team working together, it makes a whole world of a difference.
Right. So, Dr. Mistry, you mentioned about nutrition, emotional wellness, music therapy, art therapy, community support, and many other things. So, in your experience, how you have seen benefits of all these things in terms of improving quality of life for a cancer patient?
So what we do is we administer even a quality of life questionnaire with most of our patients when they come to us and when they leave us, or when they're going back to their homes, or depending on where they are from. And definitely through those things, we've not yet had a statistically significant amount of data, because we've started 3 years back.
Yeah.
We've worked with close to over 350 patients over the 3 years. Just to tell you that tomorrow we will be completing our 3 years. It's our 3rd year anniversary of OnCare tomorrow. So it's really a very proud moment for us. And so basically right now we are going through the feedback that we get from our patients, but we do have a quality of life questionnaire, which we will be analyzing pre and post. So that's how we'll know the impact of this thing. But till now, what we have, as I said, through the feedbacks, through the doctors, the main, the oncologists' feedback, there are so many patients who, we had this one case of young girl for radiation, and she used to get claustrophobic, because it was again a nasopharyngeal this thing. So she would go all the way to the hospital, go into the department, and refuse to go in. So it was so difficult and it was only through repeated counseling, repeated talking to the patient was a young girl. She was a teenager with the parents getting so stressed out. It was only through this, continuous this thing of a whole combined effort that we managed to kind of complete this girl's this thing. And today, touch wood, with the grace of God, she's in complete remission. Okay. So it's when you see cases like this where you can actually see the benefit immediately, do you realize the importance of it also?
Got it. We have one question from Anuradha Saxena. She is a breast cancer winner and an amazing woman working from Indore for thousands of cancer patients. She is
congratulations.
So one question from her. How can one register for palliative care training?
So there are lots of different places who are doing this course. One is the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. They are very soon actually, and we've collaborated with them and we've created certain modules, which is an online training. So I don't think they've yet gone, because again, this whole hitch of COVID has come through and everything has gone on a standstill. But that was one very beautiful online training module for palliative care training in different aspects. The other one, of course, is at the Tata Memorial Hospital, where they have a 6 or 7 week, I think it's a 7-week training module, which they have for caregivers, for patient survivors, for this thing, and in association with which is the other organization.
Alem India also has training.
Alem India also has.
Yeah.
So there are several portals through which training can be taken.
Yeah.
Just as I said, because we worked on the modules together, I know about it. But yes, definitely there are many. There are many training programs.
Right. In fact, if you want to get trained in palliative care, Tata Memorial has 10 days program as well for volunteers.
Yeah.
Pallium India has many programs on this. Now everything must be doing, virtually. So yes, you can check their website. I just shared Pallium India website to see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pallium India definitely has.
Yeah, definitely. Great. I mean, lots of information today. And one question would be around COVID. So, what will be your advice for healthcare professionals, like volunteers who want to help cancer patients or working with cancer patients and cancer patients? How can they take care of themselves?
So, firstly, for cancer patients, especially, let me start. We say the minimal exposure, the better it is. So, as far as possible, do not step out of your houses unless you really have to go for treatment or have to go for some any very, very urgent work. Do not step out of your houses. For volunteers and other caregiver like healthcare professionals, use proper protective gear, full PPE kits when you're in touch with or in like direct contact with the patients. Otherwise, use modems like this telecommunication, talk to them like, methods of where you don't have to be in direct physical contact with each other. But if you are in direct contact with each other, then definitely good protective gear, masks, washing hands. I think all the standard precautions and care that you have to take against COVID. But particularly for a cancer patient, we tell them not to step out because their immunity, especially if they've just finished with their treatment or something, their immunity is really, really low and you do not want to take that chance.
Right. Okay. Dr. Khurshid, I have this, just a thought came to mind that you work with palliative care patients and you must have seen lots of end-of-life moments, or you have been a part of lots of end-of-life conversations and you have seen lots of death as well. So what death taught you?
So as I always tell everybody that my patients and my profession is my art of living. When people talk about art of living, it's my patients and their experiences which teach me about life. The most important aspect, which I said in the beginning also, take one day at a time and live life to its fullest in the present moment.
Yeah.
Do not keep thinking of what's going to happen in the future. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the future. Like I give another very silly but common example that I could walk out of the gate and be knocked down by a vehicle and that would be the end of me. So nobody really knows what's happening tomorrow. So live life to its fullest today. Do what you have to do. Be positive in your mindset. And again, and a very commonly asked question with me is like, don't you get depressed or don't you need this thing? So yeah, sure. We have our moments. We have our times when you are down. But again, this teaches you how to kind of bounce back. The experiences of my patients have taught me how to live my life. I see them being so brave sometimes. I mean, sometimes you really wonder where they get that strength from. And I think it's some kind of this thing. So yeah, it's basically taught me not to complain too much. I mean, I feel very, very privileged where I am because people complain about the smallest of things. I have friends who obviously don't work in similar surroundings as I do. And we heard them cribbing about a maid not coming or not being able to go out shopping because of this lockdown. And this is my response to them that, what are we complaining about? So it has taught me not to complain about too many things, to be happy and satisfied with what I have, and live in the present moment and live it to its fullest.
Wow. That's really amazing. I just shared a TED Talk link from BJ Miller, who is also expert in palliative care from San Francisco. He is one of my mentor. And there's a beautiful TED Talk by him, what really matters at the end of life. So he has already experienced end of life and he came back from there. Then he had a major accident where he lost both his legs and one hand. It was just an accident when he was playing with friends in his teenage, and then just by chance he just lost in the fraction of seconds. So he was at end of life he was in coma for so many months, and then he recovered from it. By God's grace, he says it's a second life for me. And then he became a doctor, and then he became a palliative care doctor. He also founder of Zen Hospice in San Francisco, and amazing. So I would really recommend you all to watch this.
Please, and if you shared it, that will be great. Yeah.
I just shared the link, BJ Miller, what really matters at the end of life. And that is what all matters.
True.
We have one question from Vikas Ranjan, who is currently on chemotherapy and also recovered from COVID. Does chemo kill antibodies in patients who have had COVID and developed antibodies?
So are you talking about the COVID antibodies? So basically chemo suppresses the immune system. It does not kill any antibodies. Let's be clear about that. So there are the immunological agents, which are different. The chemotherapy agents are different. What chemotherapy does is it suppresses the immune system. So the patient becomes very perceptive to any infection. It could be any infection. And COVID just now being so rampant, that's why we tell patients not to move out, or we don't even give too much chemotherapy to the patients. If we feel it can be avoided for a couple of cycles, we are holding on to it. So coming back to the COVID antibodies, no, chemo will not kill the COVID antibodies. Your antibodies will remain in your body for as long as they are. Like nowadays, they are saying that, the immunity doesn't last for more than 3 months or 4 months. Actually, nobody knows. Nobody is really this thing. We've seen recurrences of COVID in normal healthy cases, not cancer cases or anything. But that's probably because the first time infection was probably so mild that enough antibodies were not produced. So there is a way of checking your antibody level. There is a simple blood test. Most labs do it. If it's a past case, you can just do the IgG levels, and that will tell you what your level of antibodies in your system is. And the higher the antibody, the more protected you are. Right. But nobody knows how long that level will remain, because it's such a new disease and it's such an evolving disease that every day we learn new things. So, but chemotherapy will not kill those antibodies, if that's your question.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Mistry. It was amazing session. It feels like we talked about a lot of things, starting from palliative care. We talked about end of life. We talked about medical treatment, holistic healing, and many other things. And amazing work which OnCare is doing, which you all are doing to help cancer patients. I'm a caregiver of a cancer patient, ex-caregiver, I would say. And all those things which you talked about, we felt the dire need of all these things during our journey, because we were not aware that all these things improve quality of life, extend life. And in many cases, it does cure, but not all the time, always. So I'm sure it will benefit lots of people who are going through the journey, who have recovered from cancer, and will help all others, caregivers as well. So thank you so much. And yes, Dr. Anu Arora has just written amazing work by OnCare and Masina Hospital. Rajendra sir, excellent. Thanks a lot for the session. So
thank you very much, and I hope all your patients in your network can also take advantage of it. As I said, it's a not-for-profit organization. We do not charge. So even the poorest of poor persons or the most non-affording can yet take advantage of all these facilities.
Definitely. And I would request you to share this presentation so that I can share this with everybody.
I could do that. You just send me your email. I'll share it with you. And you can most definitely share it with your viewers and your patients.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. And last one line, what you would like to share with everyone, Dr. Mistry?
So I would again like to go back to my quote and many other quotes for palliative care, that cure is not the only thing, but care can always be given. So don't stop caring for the patient. Don't stop caring this thing, and don't concentrate on only the cure. Because, actually we tell patients there are so many diseases like blood pressure, for diabetes. We don't cure those diseases. We're just controlling them. And nobody gets worried about that. They're all killer diseases at the same time. But the moment they hear of cancer, it becomes like a majorly dreaded disease. So treat cancer as a chronic thing. Treat cancer as something which, yes, it's happened and you have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So don't think about only the cure. Think about the care aspect and go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Dr. Anu has just written that Dr. Vispy is my batchmate. So
Dr. Vispy, Which Dr. Vispi are you talking of? Atya?
Just a minute. I'll just request her to unmute.
He's
her.
a hematologist if she's talking of Vispi Atya.
No, I'm talking about Vispi Joki or Masina director.
Okay.
Yeah, Vispi is my batchmate. Yeah, from
really?
JJ.
Oh, how fantastic.
Very good friend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's done
Your
a
talk is
fantastic.
amazing. But your talk is also amazing. I really loved it.
He's done,
Really
yeah,
loved
Dr.
it.
Joki has done a lot of good for hospital, Masina Hospital. They've been kind enough to involve us in it. So again, let me tell you that we have two aspects in Masina Hospital. We have our chemotherapy ward, which is called the BND Onco Center, run by Dr. Baman Dabar. He's a very senior medical oncologist. And to support that, we have OnCare. And we have basically in the same premises, just next to each other. We complement each other, and that's how we work together. And just another this thing about, like, you're talking about personal experiences, and I've given you this list of NGOs. Bulk of the NGOs which have started palliative care have all started with their own personal experiences. Okay. So there is a Romila Palliative Care started by Dr. Armida Fernandez. She was a dean of Sion Hospital. Sion Hospital. That's right. And she lost her young daughter to breast cancer. Okay. And in her memory, she started Romila Palliative Care. They are based in Bandra. There is another Bill Moria Foundation which operates PalCare. Yeah. So Feroza started this organization after the demise of her husband, who was suffering from lung cancer. So it's all these personal experiences. You know, most of the caregivers who, when they were going through this journey at a personal level, realize the dearth of it and have started these different organizations. In addition, of course, there are a lot of private practitioners. There are individuals who are into palliative care. So you can get palliative care services at different levels, from corporate hospitals to home care services to everywhere. Wow. And this list that I have provided will definitely benefit and can be shared with everybody.
We'll put it on the website as well. Sure.
Yeah, and as I said, I would like to remind you, Dimple, I will share the link with you next Saturday. Do share it with your people.
Oh, for sure.
It's going to be a very interesting, there's Konkana Sen Sharma, who is again a caregiver, who is going to be a part of it. Yeah, she's going to be talking about her experiences as a caregiver. And so we have a lovely panel, Dr. Marianne Mukadan, who is like the founder of palliative care in Mumbai. Wow. So there are all these experts who are going to be part of the panel, and I think it will be beneficial for your viewers also. So do share that link also. Once I have it, I'll definitely share it with you.
Surely, would love that. And congratulations on completing 3 years tomorrow.
Thank you. That's great. Yeah, we're very happy.
For your time and the amazing informative session, and looking forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much, everyone, to be a part of today's Healing Circle Talks, where we talked about palliative care and so many different aspects of it. And looking forward to many more Healing Circle Talks to heal together, to create a space where we all feel safe to talk to each other and just share openly. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.